morning, Papua New Guinea, and welcome to another episode of Business PNG. Now, tonight on the show, we take you to the beautiful Jiwaka Province as we attend yet another financial inclusion mass graduation ceremony. Now, at the ceremony, around 4,000 villagers graduated, the majority of whom were children. And swiftly after the ceremony, around 500 bank accounts were opened for these children. Now, this will teach them the mentality of a savings culture at a young age. The Financial Inclusion Initiative by the Bank of Papua New Guinea and its partners has reached some of the rural villages in Jiwaka Province. After weeks of financial training, specifically on saving and budgeting money, thousands of villagers from Kartanim graduated at a financial inclusion mass graduation ceremony early this month.
We went to present certificates for 4,000 men and women who completed some financial literacy program run under the microfinance expansion project. The project is funded by government of PNG, Australian government, and ADB. And that was a very big successful event. A lot of people turned up, and also we got good representatives from Australian government, and ADB also came, and also from those who facilitated the training. We outsourced training to K1, one of the institutions that run the program here in Highlands region.
I mean, we've been involved with the microfinance expansion project right throughout PNG, not just the rural areas per se, and it's been training tens of thousands of Papua New Guineans in financial literacy. So what we really like about the microfinance program is that by learning how to manage money, you're giving people skills to realise their own dreams, whether that to save for a house, to help their children, or to save for their own retirement, or to build and grow their own business. You're giving them that power to do it for themselves.
The majority of those that graduated were high school students from surrounding villages who were taught the basics of savings and budgeting money. And swiftly after the graduation ceremony, 500 students opened bank accounts with financial institutions that were present at the graduation. These included Bank South Pacific, People's Microbank, and Nationwide Microbank.
We gave certificates for 4,000 participants who have followed budgeting and savings. And actually that's basically a recognition of that they have followed this course. And we will definitely actually this gives them an opportunity to open their bank accounts with less documentation as well. So that's basically the start of a journey.
Having access to the right financial advice and understanding when and how much to spend, given the different community obligations, is vital in our traditional society. Decent work and economic growth is 8th on the United Nations list of Sustainable Development Goals. Because of this, the Central Bank of PNG, along with development donors, the Australian government and the Asian Development Bank, through the Centre for Excellence in Financial Inclusion, purposefully targeted school-aged children in order for them to develop a savings mentality at a young age.
Now, our population, if you look at our population is adults and children. The adult population, the ability to change the mind, to cope with the changes, might be okay, but might not be okay. But the children are very important. Children are the future for Papua New Guinea. We want to teach them about financial education, for them to have the knowledge to manage their own finance and resources so that they can improve their own standard of living. See, the idea of financial education is about addressing the issue of poverty. For the government to address the issue of poverty, it must first teach financial education about discipline. Budget and savings are aspects of discipline. If a person is not managing the budget properly, they cannot save. Or if somebody is not disciplined and misuses the income that they get, they cannot live a better life. They will regress back to poverty. Financial education is like sowing a seed in the child. The child will grow up to learn how to manage finance and prosper as a person first, then as a family, then the nation as a whole.
The Financial Inclusion Initiative has thus far graduated some 130,000 villages from across the country, exceeding the initial target.
So this is 4,000 people that we presented certificates. It's a big, very big number. We've done that in a number of other places as well. So we had an initial target of 120,000 to reach by this, with this number that we graduated today. The number now will have gone up to, I think, over 130,000 people that have received financial literacy program.
Tuna is the world's most important fish. Now, around 60% of the world's global tuna market comes from the Pacific Oceans. However, not much is known about this fish, and this may come with challenges of its own. Annually, at least 2.5 million metric tons of the global tuna catch is destined for canning, the majority of which is caught by purse-seine vessels. The Regional Roadmap for Sustainable Pacific Fisheries anticipates a doubling in the value of the region's tuna catch by 2024, from a 2014 value of $3.1 million. To say tuna is important is an understatement. Today, tuna is the planet's most valuable fish. The term tunanomics was coined by the Pacific's fisheries industry stakeholders to define the movement and importance of Pacific tuna, not merely the sustainability, but more so the economic importance and viability.
Tunanomics is the term that we've coined to really give perspective to the fact that while our first step in fisheries management is always to create sustainability, in the developing world we also need to turn our attention to economics and to making sure that we can secure appropriate domestic returns from those sustainable fish stocks.
Papua New Guinea, being one of the bigger Pacific Island nations, is a major player in the region's tuna exports. However, this also means that a lot of its responsibilities rest on the country's shoulders. These include strictly regulating fishing to within the exclusive economic zones and the fight against illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, which, if not policed, has a detrimental effect on the market.
And the work that we need to do is largely with the licensed fleet in terms of improving their performance, particularly when it comes to data reporting. So it is a very significant issue. Our best estimate is that it's worth somewhere around $150 million across the region in terms of lost money to the Pacific.
Fishing vessels catch enough tuna to contribute more than $42.2 billion to the global economy annually, and 60% of the global catch comes from the vast Pacific Oceans. However, not much is known about this natural resource. Because of this, journalists from the country's leading news outlets were invited to a week-long workshop about the tuna varieties in the Pacific and its socio-economic value.
Hashtag Tunanomics is really a search term that we use on Facebook. We've adapted it so it fits across our t-shirts because it encourages anyone out there who's on Facebook, as many Pacific Islanders are, to enter it in the search field, and then you'll find out what Pacific media have been doing with the foreign fisheries in training rooms like this, but really the feedback that they're giving us in field trips where they're following the tuna story across the Pacific and they're finding out the issues that resonate in their stories.
You know, fishing, especially fishing, it can be very controversial when you write about something. And when you come into writing about something that you hardly don't know about, that's when the controversy can start. So a workshop like this, thank you to FFA and NFA as well for providing this workshop. It enables the journalists that are coming in the industry now and also part of the industry to report correctly.
The journalists that attended the workshops, including this reporter, were challenged to report knowledgeably on the fisheries industries and specifically the tuna industry, as it is a major sustainable resource of this country. A trade delegation from New Zealand was recently in the country to meet with business houses in Port Moresby. Now, Business PNG had an exclusive interview with Chairman of the New Zealand PNG Business Council, Mr. Tamati Norman, as he discussed some of the challenges that's facing trade between both countries and the way forward. A trade delegation from New Zealand visited Port Moresby recently to meet with business houses in the country and facilitate trade between the two Pacific Island countries. Despite a weakening kina and a recent spurt of negative press for the country, investors are still keen as ever to invest in Papua New Guinea as well as form trade partnership with business houses here. In an exclusive interview with Business PNG, Chairman of the New Zealand PNG Business Council, Tamati Norman, shared the delegation's expected outcomes when establishing partnerships.
We have a membership of 67 companies in New Zealand that are currently operating in or have an interest in doing business in Papua New Guinea. We represent around $200 million in trade coming into Papua New Guinea, and we represent a much lower number coming out of Papua New Guinea. So part of where our drivers is that we want to increase trade both ways. So that's trade coming out of Papua New Guinea into the New Zealand market and New Zealand coming into the PNG market. And where we see the market is that we're here to stand by our family and friends, because we see Papua New Guinea as we're very close.
According to Mr. Norman, there is a lot of interest from businesses around New Zealand looking to expand their horizons in the country. There are a few New Zealand companies who can boast about their endeavours in PNG, such as Hawkins New Zealand, contracted by the government to build the now iconic Kumul flyover in Port Moresby.
You've got guys like Stanley Hancock and that are working on Star Mountain, and you've got the overbridge and all of these things that are that New Zealand companies have been heavily involved with within the infrastructure. So it's like we've got the infrastructure now. Let's start looking at our agricultural. What can we offer in agriculture, and that's when you're going to start to see a lot more interest coming, like New Zealand businesses going, hey, and also New Zealanders employed here.
Despite the keen interest from New Zealand businesses to invest in sectors besides infrastructure, there are a number of challenges that temper with investor interest. Among them is a lack of direct flights from New Zealand to PNG.
As a PNG Business Council, we'd love to see is a direct flight between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea again. There's some of the big companies up here have committed to buying seats on those flights to our Trade Commissioner and to us as a council. And also where some of the things that are coming up, there's 40,000 live chickens coming up every week out of New Zealand. They're coming via Brisbane. So that's a 10-hour flight. One of the exciting things about those chickens is that we learned yesterday was the chickens are being flown in, the baby chickens, but all the grain and all the food is being grown here. They're not importing any of the grains and stuff. It's a really exciting story for Papua New Guinea. Your proteins that are being grown here. So when you've got those 40,000 baby chickens being flown in, there is an opportunity there where you've got freight. So for freight, for high value things like orchids and flowers and that type of thing, as a trade base coming back into New Zealand, if we can get those direct flights back in, it's also going to increase the opportunity for trade, particularly around tourism.
After the success of Mapai Transport, a PNG freight services company who opened up their office in Auckland recently, the path for inclusive partnership and trade between both countries is widening and opportunities endless.
We've just had Mapai. Mapai Transport and Logistics have just launched a company in Auckland. So that's a really exciting thing for Papua New Guinea, and I think you're going to start to see a lot more companies starting to do this, where they will then have access to logistics and freight, and a control into the marketplace. That is New Zealand, where it's been a bit of we understand it's been a tough time, and there's been some New Zealand businesses that have had it hard. There's some that have had it good, but we look at Papua New Guinea as our family and friends, and when our family and friends need us, then we're here as New Zealand business.
character and feel of Papua New Guinea by the architecture and design, which was the owner's vision. So that's definitely come out. They keep it immaculate. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's a real pleasure working here. I think it's the whole feel of the place. As soon as you walk in, it's got the wow factor. Again, the vision from the owners building the resort. The owners actually were in Rabaul 20 years ago and had businesses, etc. when it was destroyed. And they decided to go to Kokopo and start our sister company, Taklam Lodge. And then they decided 13 years ago to buy this land and build it. So we have 32 rooms at Taklam as well. We have a lot of international tourists from all over the world. We even have tour groups that come through from Germany and Australia and Holland and all different places, Japan. Generally it depends on what the tour groups are after, but we do have a lot of the local type tours as well as sea tours. So the local tours would include, one of our full day tours is really good. It includes the volcano, the underground tunnels, the barge tunnels, the historical museum, all those types of things to incorporate the history of the war here. And we have some of the most spectacular waters here in the world. So diving is huge here. So we have 3 boats that can accommodate divers. Unfortunately, it is quite difficult, and of course tourists don't understand that. They come here, they see this magnificent place, and they just don't understand the infrastructure behind it all. There's a lot of things that we cannot get, or if we do get it, it's hard to get in and expensive because it's got to come from another country generally. Well, unfortunately, the bad press is difficult. The media portrays PNG as a whole, and we are East New Britain. There's hardly ever anything happens here, especially here in Kokopo. It's just, yeah, it's awesome here. And totally free, you can walk around everywhere and do your own thing. We are working with the government to get advertising going on for East New Britain, in particular Alatau and Kokopo Rabaul regions, to get people to realise that it's totally beautiful coming here. And it's interesting because they come here and then they go, oh wow, I'm really glad I came, I'll be coming back. They don't realise until they get here how amazing it is.
And that's all we have for this episode of Business PNG. For more information, or if you would simply like to watch this episode again, visit EMTV online at the URL at the bottom of the screen. Now for the latest business news and updates, like our page on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Business PNG. From myself and the rest of the Business PNG team, wish you all a very good night and a productive rest of the week.